All right, Aquarius, your underlying here is the Eight of Swords. You are coming into this with the Sun. They are showing the Nine of Swords, where you meet in terms of the relationship. You are showing the Five of Wands. They are showing the Queen of Swords. What that means later, you have the Chariot. They are showing the world. And then you have the Five of Pentacles, the Three of Cups, and then the Magician. This one's interesting. All right, so first of all, the Eight of Swords. The reason why things may not be able to move forward with this relationship is there may be other people involved. With the Three of Cups being there, I don't see how this could possibly be about celebrating something when there's a feeling of, I have nothing to give to this. You know what I mean? But for some reason, this person may think that they can make something happen in this relationship, though, with the Magician. But are they trying to manipulate something, you know? So the way that you come into this with the Sun, I think that you've been very clear. And I also think that you're seeing things very clearly in terms of this relationship. Now, it could be that you may be wanting to try to breathe life back into this. But with the Nine of Swords, if you're showing, you know, everything clearly here to this person, they are looking at it like they're expecting the worst. You know, because with the Nine of Swords here, their thoughts are like all over the goddamn place. You're talking about overthinking. There's fear, there's anxiety. There may be some regret over what happened in the past that may be weighing on their mind, right? But with the Sun, it could very well be here that you're wanting to like try to see if there's a way to rejuvenate this. Now, moving into the Five of Wands with the Queen of Swords, that may be how they're looking at you because everything that they say does not go along with the way that you think or the way that you feel about the relationship with the Five of Wands. I don't think that you're intentionally trying to be combative, but I think that, you know, if the Queen of Swords is them, whether they're male or female, it may be that, you know, they're being harsh and direct, but they're not doing it from a place of being mentally clear because of the Nine of Swords. There's just no way. Now, they may be looking at you, though, as the one who is just being, you know, cold and shut off. Like, I'm not trying to play games with you. I'm trying to be honest with you, but clearly they're causing problems because with the Five of Wands, you're not on the same page. You're not communicating. Nothing is being heard in the right way. And then you move into the Chariot. And I think that for you, it's, I just want to move on from this now. And for them, it's like, for some reason, I almost feel like they're still trying to communicate with you because they're trying to get closure. But no matter what you say, it just doesn't bring it to them, if that makes sense. Because again, we're talking about a relationship where it's not moving forward. For you, you can't see it happening because of the way that this person is. But they are having a problem, I think, from moving on. Because I think that they still believe that there's a way to, you know, make something happen here. But I think that you may be moving on and saying that I can't really give anything to this relationship. You know, especially if there are still other people involved here with the Three of Cups, you know. That, or we could be talking about, you know, this person creating a bunch of gossip that is not true, you know. And again, like, I think that they're constantly trying to communicate to you because they're wanting to have closure. But I don't think that anything that you say is going to give you or give them that closure, right? Now, this could definitely be about a relationship where there's been some distance between the two of you. It could be about, you know, a long distance situation here. But I really think that this is something that you don't want to give to anymore. You know, and that's great and all that they may have some regret or some anxiety because of, you know, what may have happened in the past, especially if other people were involved. But they can't, you can't, I want to take them and go, look, you can't manipulate this person. You can't do this. You can't try to make something happen out of nothing. You know, there's just no way of moving forward on this. So the Devil, I think that you know, big time here, there is nothing that you're wanting to give to this. You are like empty-handed when it comes to this. And I think that with the Chariot, I don't necessarily feel like you're going to go out of your way to try to meet this person to give them closure. It ain't happening. I think that you're wanting to get yourself back on track. And I think that you're wanting to go in a different direction. And you're quickly wanting to get over this and not deal with this because it's not going anywhere. It's not. You're not wanting to give anything to this, but I think that you're looking at this as this person may have an unhealthy attachment. They are looking at you like everything that you say, they're blocking out, right? You are being, you know, diplomatic about the situation. And what you're communicating to them, they're taking it as you're being emotionally distant. But the thing is that there is definitely the unhealthy attachment, right? Now with the Four of Pentacles, again, I don't think that you're trying to maintain things at all with this person. I think that this, again, is going back to this feeling of, I have nothing to give you. And that's not going to change. But for them, they're not hearing it. They're completely blocking out any logic and reason here because they believe that something can manifest or something can happen. Okay. And then after that, showing the Seven of Wands with the King of Pentacles, I almost think that what they're blocking out is this idea of you being truthful and honest about not having anything to give, but they're not seeing that, you know, you don't want to. It's like they're looking at you like with the King of Pentacles, and again, whether you're male or female, they expect you to give something here to make this happen. But with the Seven of Wands, you're not having that. You're like, no, 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 and no. There is nothing that I could possibly give to make this situation work, you know, because again, with the Five of Pentacles, you're not doing it. Some of you are dealing with a person here that just has a hard time, like, letting you go. And I have to wonder if they're not trying to get other people involved in this situation, though, too. Because they are the ones here who are having a problem with getting the closure that they need. So first of all, yeah, there is somebody from your past that may be coming through here and they may be wanting to try to fix things. When you look at the Nine of Wands, this is somebody who's trying to hurry up and fix things before it's too late. So at some point in the past, there was a connection, there was the relationship, but something went wrong here and they may be wanting to fix this now and wanting to repair a relationship with you, or this could be you wanting to repair things with them. Okay. Now, moving into the Three of Wands, you're talking about two people who are realizing that they still feel the same way about each other. So that connection is made. But when you look at the Queen of Pentacles, it's either you or the other person here who feels like even though there is still that connection, they don't really need it, that they can, you know, take care of themselves. That, or we're talking about, well, you know, that's great and all that, we have these feelings, but I don't want to have any kind of an attachment. It's almost like saying, I don't want to be committed, you know. So then you move into the Six of Pentacles, where either you or this person are feeling like you're not getting what you want out of this. And that's because you're dealing with a person with the Emperor here who, you know, is like just wanting to kind of like have fun. You know, we look at that as the type of person that is constantly, you know, going after their own passion. And that's what I was feeling. The initial feeling that I got off of Strength is that you're not trying to find the strength here to continue the relationship. I think that you're trying to find the strength here to keep them blocked out. You know, because if you notice, this guy's got his hand in her mouth like, oh, wait a minute, back up a second, you know. And I think that you're trying to find the strength to keep this out. That's fine and all that, you know, there's some at least reconciliation in terms of the way that you feel about each other, but actually following through in the relationship with the Two of Swords, that's a no. And then the Four of Wands, yeah. So I think that, and like I said, you can flip the script on this. This is either you or the other person coming out of this situation being upset over the fact that offer is rejected. Somebody is wanting to keep this out. They may be willing to discuss their feelings in the way that they felt, but continuing the relationship is not an option. And a lot of that has to do with the person's personality here. They're just looking to have fun. That's nothing serious. And they could easily say, well, if I'm not getting what I want, I can just get it somewhere else. But that's not really, you know, reconciling here. But I think that somebody tries to do this, but they're not really wanting to follow through on having a relationship. And then the Page of Wands. they need to try a little bit harder, and it can't just be based on lust with the devil being there. So first of all, I think that this isn't about a new person. I think that there is new feelings happening here. It's like they're a new person to you, but they need to try a little bit harder. I worry about the devil here, but the way that you come out on this looks like, you know, the romance kind of like kicks in here with the Five of Pentacles. That's like, you know, the old school romance, you know. Those feelings are definitely there. And then when you look at the Page of Wands, this is about looking past appearances and getting caught up in the passion. So I don't necessarily feel like they're trying to get you to see a part of them that's not real, you know, because I would have to have like the moon to back that up. I think that, you know, you kind of look past the fact that some things may have happened before. So first of all, with the Three of Swords, I'm talking about, you know, somebody who needs to get the balls here to leave a situation instead of, you know, trying to have a relationship and not dealing with, you know, a situation where they're not happy. So that's where like the cheating kind of comes in. Now, on the other hand, we could be talking about somebody that's hoping that you break up because they have, you know, some fantasy surrounding you with the Seven of Cups. You know, now it could be, though, that you got into this situation where, you know, you're living out your fantasy with this person. You've started a relationship in a really difficult way. But with the Four of Pentacles, you're talking about somebody who needs to try a little bit harder to get the passion going here. Because with the Devil, I don't think that you want to be caught up in something that is just based on lust. But things change. And I think that they change in a good way, looking at the Five of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. I think that it's more than just a fantasy about hooking up here. I think it starts to become something that's a little bit more realistic. You know, but there's definitely the excitement and the passion that you kind of follow through on. But I think that this is for those of you who just started a relationship with somebody who either, you know, they left a bad situation or you left a bad situation. Yeah, and then the Five of Swords. Okay, I gotcha. So now with the Seven of Swords, this may be the reason why somebody left a relationship, is because there was no communication, there was no connection. You know, now for some of you, this may be, you know, what happened in the past in your relationship. You may have been with somebody where the connection was lost, right? And there is this fantasy surrounding the relationship, but nothing's actually happening. But that may be because somebody was, you know, doing something that they shouldn't have, which is possible with the Three of Swords. But I do think that for a lot of you, you may be getting involved with a person here who left a difficult situation because there was no connection. Because you're talking about, you know, being able to live out a different fantasy here because they just weren't getting it where they were before. Now that could be you or the other person. Now with the Chariot, this is this person really trying to give this relationship a sense of direction and not just being something that is based on lust, but somebody needs to try a little bit harder with that Four of Pentacles. And I think that the problem is this feeling of inadequacy, not feeling like they're good enough, right? And getting over that and getting caught up in the passion and the romance and getting involved in this relationship full-heartedly and letting go of the past and letting go of, you know, past disconnection, so to speak. But this could definitely indicate here that something went wrong in the past and they need to try harder. They need to try harder to give this relationship a sense of direction. You know, you don't want to continue to deal with somebody that's just doing things based on lust, because that's what the Devil is. But again, new love, I think that you're looking at this person differently. You know, it's like a brand new person to you. Now, for some of you, absolutely, it could be that you left a situation here and you're meeting somebody completely new.